Today, we're digging into a multi-billion-dollar mystery. Why are some of the world's most powerful, most successful retail brands all running for the exits in the exact same country? So here it is, the big question. Why are these global giants, we're talking absolute titans of industry, failing so consistently in the Chinese market? You know, this isn't just a string of bad luck. It's a pattern, and it points to something way, way deeper than just tough competition.
I mean, just look at this list. It reads like a who's who of global business. Forever 21, Amazon, the supermarket pioneer Carrefour, even Samsung's smartphone business. And before them, you had eBay and Uber give it a shot and fail. These aren't small-time players. These are leaders in their fields who, one after another, just couldn't seem to crack the code.
So what is the code? Well, it turns out the answer isn't a single rival or one simple mistake. The real antagonist here, the real challenge, is the market itself. A market that has gone through a revolution so fast and so profound, it's unlike anything we've seen in history. And you really have to wrap your head around the sheer speed of this change. This quote on the screen? It's not an exaggeration. The China that these brands entered back in the early 2000s is fundamentally, technologically, and culturally a different world from the China of today.
And this transformation wasn't slow and steady. Nope. It happened in 4 huge, rapid, overlapping waves. First, in the 2000s, you get this massive economic boom that creates a new middle class, and they were hungry to spend. Then, by the early 2010s, e-commerce just takes over everything. Then, boom, mid-2010s, the mobile payment revolution with Alipay and WeChat Pay changes the game again. And finally, the Z generation comes of age with a totally new set of values. All of this happened in just 20 years. That's faster than any industrial revolution in human history.
Okay, to really understand the impact of this incredible change, let's look at 3 cautionary tales. Each one gives us a really powerful lesson on what happens when a global giant just can't keep up with the pace.
First up, Forever 21. Their fatal flaw? A complete and total generational mismatch. See, they built their whole brand for the 80s generation, folks who grew up as the economy was booming and really saw buying things as a sign of success. But they completely missed the boat on the Z generation, who were born into wealth and have a totally different worldview. For them, it's all about ethics, the environment, self-improvement. The whole idea of fast fashion just became, well, uncool. And the consequences were brutal. Their exit was anything but graceful. Their flagship stores, which were once these shiny symbols of cool, just descended into chaos. We're talking 75% off sales, overwhelmed staff, and clothes literally just scattered all over the floor. It was a really miserable end for a brand that, simply stopped paying attention. Okay, next up is Amazon. And their failure, you can pretty much sum it up in one word: hubris. They came in assuming that their successful global playbook, the one that worked everywhere else, would work in China too. So they tried to force it onto a market that was playing by a completely different set of rules. And to really get why that was such a huge mistake, you have to understand the scale we're talking about. In 2019, the value of all of the stuff sold on Alibaba in China was more than double Amazon's entire global operation. Let that sink in. The scale of the market is just on another planet.
So what you have is this massive class of philosophies. Amazon's whole model is about loyalty, right? Locking you in with Prime. But in China, the market is this wild free-for-all of constant price checking, fierce coupon wars, and these huge blowout sales events like Singles Day. Amazon's strategy was kind of like showing up to a rock concert and politely asking everyone to keep it down. It just didn't work.
Our third cautionary tale is Carrefour, the big French supermarket chain. They fell into what we can call the rigidity trap. Their core problem was a really stiff, top-down management structure that just refused to empower its local Chinese leaders. And because of that, they were always one step behind the market.
And that rigidity had devastating effects. They kept building these giant suburban stores while shoppers were all moving to smaller, more convenient city stores. All the big decisions were being made back in France, taking power away from the local managers who actually knew their customers. They didn't build a modern logistics network, and they completely missed the boat on the new retail wave powered by mobile apps. And here's the final price tag for that rigidity. Carrefour China was sold off for a reported 4.8 billion yuan. Now, to put that in perspective, a local competitor of about the same size was valued at nearly 100 billion yuan. It wasn't just a sale, it was a fire sale, a pretty stark symbol of just how far they'd fallen.
But it's not all doom and gloom, because while failures teach you a lot, so does success.
So now let's flip the script and look at a survivor, Starbucks, and see how they pulled back from the brink by doing the exact opposite, by embracing the very changes that took everyone else down. For years, Starbucks was the undisputed king of coffee in China. No one could touch him. Then, 2018 hit, and they got a terrifying wake-up call. For the first time ever, their sales growth went negative. The reason? A new, local, mobile-first rival called Luckin Coffee had seemingly come from nowhere and was perfectly built for this new world of retail. Now, what Starbucks did next, this is the key to the whole story. Instead of getting defensive and doubling down, they did a complete 180. They acknowledged the crisis, and then they went out and forged a deep partnership with a local titan, Alibaba. They integrated all the local tech for mobile ordering and delivery. And get this, they even started offering coupons, embracing the very system that Amazon had refused to plan. And this quote from their CEO at the time, Howard Schultz, it says it all. Starbucks didn't just survive in China. It started to see China as a laboratory for innovation. The company went from trying to teach the market how to drink coffee to learning from the market, and even started thinking about how to take those lessons back home. So what can we learn from all this? When you put all these stories together, Forever 21, Amazon, Carrefour, and Starbucks, you start to see a new set of rules emerge for any company that's trying to operate in a market that moves this fast. It really boils down to two critical lessons. First, empower local talent. You have to put people who intuitively get the market into real positions of power. And second, you have to forge deep local partnerships. Don't try to go it alone. You've got to leverage the tech and the market access of the local giants, just like Starbucks did with Alibaba. And that brings us to a final, bigger question. These lessons about speed, about adaptation, about humility, maybe they're not just about China. In a world where change is speeding up everywhere, maybe the real question we should be asking is whether the very idea of a single, one-size-fits-all global strategy is already a thing of the past. It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for watching.